Hello. Well, this is only very loosely connected with steedcraft micro foundry, but if you're doing that sort of work, you've almost certainly had a need for a small butane or propane torch for soldering jump rings, filling in small blowholes in your castings, and joining small castings together. And these little torches represent the absolute bottom end of the market. They're very small but nice for doing jewellery work, and the great news is they cost less than £2 post free from China. The business bits are not nicely made, but the reason that these torches get such a bad, and in my view undeserved bad press, is that they block up very quickly. So I've got the bench light. I always light them from the bench light. When they're working, you get a nice balanced little flame that's quite adequate, for, say, for closing jump rings and for doing small jewellery work. You've only got a few minutes life in the capacity of the gas. So you've got to be pumping it up with a lighter style gas filler. And the crunch is that if you buy cheap gas, the problem is that that contains contaminants, oily contaminants, sometimes even small solid particles, which get through eventually and block the jet. The unblocking of the jet is tricky because when these things come, the jet assembly is fixed onto the neck. It's threaded and it's thread locked, and this neck is thread locked into the knurled adjuster, and so there's no way that you can get to the tiny jet that's in here, just backstream of the air intake, which has got this tiny hole less than 0.1 of a millimetre diameter, which you've got to try and clear out. And so the first mod is to release the jet holder, the flame tip here, from the neck. And to get a grip on the neck so you can undo it, it's a good tip to put a generous fillet of araldite between the neck and the knurled adjuster. After a couple of days and some warmth, that will be a nice strong joint, and that gives you the torque reaction to gently break this thread here. And the jet is a tiny disc in there, and I find that don't try to prick it out with anything however fine. It will make the jet larger and the flame will become much too soft, too large to do any real heating. These little vibratory cleaners are about a £5. They are not ultrasonic, but they are a little eccentric weight jiggling around in there under the action of a PP3 battery, so the whole thing's very cheap. And a couple of minutes in there, dissolved, I use isopropanol in there, but whatever solvent cleaner you're using, and that will clean out the jet, and you're ready for another go. There's two things that are left that can be improved. One is the small capacity of the torch itself, with the integrated design of fuel tank and neck, and the other is the close proximity of the liquid fuel to the small diameter neck, where as the fuel vaporizes, as you turn it on, the bubbles allow liquid fuel to come up into the neck, and gradually the liquid fuel and any contaminants reaches the jet and the thing dies down. And this is the real bugbear with these things, and this is the subject of most of their bad press, is that they start dying on you as soon as you've filled it up. Until you realise this, you think either the one-way valve has gone wrong and you start playing with that, or you're looking at the adapter bit from your lighter refill canister and you think the problem is here. In my experience, it isn't. It's in a blocked jet. So we know how to clear the jet. What we need to do as a secondary improvement is to make the fuel tank remote from the torch. And so by chopping off the back of the fuel tank with the one-way valve, and then sleeving on some, not the sort of heavy tubing that is sold for caravan gas stoves and the like, which makes the torch heavy and cumbersome to use, but this good quality silicone tubing which is sold at car performance shops for plumbing up turbochargers in race and performance cars. An interference fit pushed on there gives you a very adequate, safe seal. It's light and very flexible, which means that the torch, when it's been converted to one like this, is still handy and long lasting. It's now powered from almost a metre of tubing, and the source of the gas is in a cooking size canister rather than a lighter refill. You get much more for your money, and it can be mounted away from the bench area. And I find now that this just doesn't block up. I've been using it for several months now without having any problem. This, every sort of 2 refills you're having to clean the jet. So my tip for these is make the jet accessible for cleaning, and a little bit more effort, but in my view well worth. Chop the end off, extend it with some piping down to a cooking kind of canister. A terry tool clip on your bench peg, and the thing, once lit, can stay lit for the length of your job. And I have to say that I'm delighted with the little things, and at the money they're an absolute bargain once they've been worked on. Happy soldering.